Yo, what's going on, man? Today is October the 3rd, 2023. It's your boy Chris, and this is the first episode of the 2023-2024 NBA team previews, man. It's been a while. A lot to discuss as always, especially when it's the first show of the new season. So these not going to be long previews. There's going to be two teams a day. If you're familiar with the format in which we did it last year and you tapped in, it'll be just like we did last year. I did these shows last year. I did two teams a day up until the season start. So we'll do the same thing. I'm in a bit of a different setup right now. But I'll be back into a better space probably in about a week or two. So I'll talk a little bit more about that here soon. But let's just jump right into it, man. Today we got the Milwaukee Bucks. Everybody want to talk about the Bucks. Everybody got opinions about the Bucks, and I'll give you guys mine. And then we also got the Denver Nuggets, the defending champion Denver Nuggets. We got to put some respect on Denver Nuggets when we talk about them. But we'll talk about all of these teams, and we're not just here to talk, right? Not just necessarily talk about which player better than which player. This ain't that type of pod. This is a betting pod. This is a betting show, right? So we'll talk about odds to win the title, odds to win the division if that's of any significance, regular season win total, odds to win the conference, that type of thing. So appreciate everybody for tapping in with me. As always, hit the like button for me. Smash that like button while you guys are joining. Also, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I know a lot of people have subscribed, but it's always a few stragglers that haven't hit the subscribe button. And then also turn the notifications bell on so you guys know when I go live as well. That way the videos will just pop up if you haven't done so over on YouTube already as well. Before we jump into it, I want to talk about just real quick. I want to touch on the sponsor, OddsJam. I'm always preaching line value. I'm always preaching getting the best line. And OddsJam has a bunch of different software on their website to help you do that. Specifically, what I like to promote is what I use, and that's the sportsbook screen page. The sportsbook screen page, you can go in, sort all the odds that you collectively sort all the odds to your preference, right? So you don't have to look at sports books that you don't have access to. You can just look at sports books that are available in the state that you bet in so that you're getting the best line. I do this all the time before I send plays out to my members, kind of highlighting, where we see an edge, especially in the NFL. You typically can find value on rushing props on, especially if you get a yards number. Yards numbers always kind of vary. Sometimes it's 10 points. It'll be 10-yard difference. For instance, last night, Daniel Jones was set at 220 and a half passing yards. He didn't get there, but the line was great because other books had him set at 230. So it's just different things like that you can always take advantage of. We know long-term beating the number will make your profitable better. So always, gonna throw that out there. Appreciate OddsJam for that. You guys use code CBC using the referral link that's over on YouTube. You can get 25% off your first month as well. No further ado, man. Let's jump into it. So this is what I'm gonna just give you guys a run through of what we'll talk about, and then after I give you guys a run through, we'll jump into the two teams. After we jump into the two teams, I'll open it up and let everybody else kind of share their thoughts. If anybody got any opinions about the teams, we'll jump into it like that. So break down the team, right? We'll talk about it. I'll talk about additions, subtractions, who the team lost, who they got back in return. Off-season notes will highlight the main points. We'll also talk about a last season recap, and then just some different angles that we can kind of use. So if you got paper and pencil and you want to write some of these things down, just some betting angles for a lot of these teams. How can you make money? Like when is the right time to fade this team? When is the right time to kind of back this team? Projected win total, and I'll give you guys every single team that I break down. I've also looked at their strength of schedule. So we'll talk about strength of schedule, back-to-backs, how many back-to-backs. We notice that typically a spot we want to fade teams in, especially the older teams. NBA has the new in-season tournament rules. They also have integrated a penalty for what they call a quote-unquote all-star rested on the second leg of a back-to-back to kind of deter some of these players from sitting out in some of these games where people have spent their hard-earned money to go see these superstars play, and then they don't show up. I know, for example, when the Pelicans played the Golden State Warriors last year, or when Golden State played the Pelicans, I know a couple times the Pelicans at least 2 times. Golden State was on the second leg of a back-to-back. They didn't play their players. When the Golden State Warriors actually came to DC to play the Wizards, it was the second leg of a back-to-back. I kind of figured Steve Kerr wasn't going to play his players, so I was going to go to that game, but I didn't even purchase tickets to that game. So it's different things like that that the NBA are trying to deter teams from doing. So with no further ado, let's jump into it, man. I kind of gave you guys a little bit of what we'll be talking about. Now let's jump into it. So first team up, we have and I'm putting the odds on the screen. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you can see the odds at the bottom. And let's see. Yeah, you guys can see the odds at the bottom. We're going to talk about the Bucks. Everybody kind of got an opinion on the Bucks. Of course, they just had the big trade that sent Drew Holiday to the Portland Trailblazers before they traded him to the Boston Celtics. So as far as additions, this team, I would say got a little bit better on the offensive end. I don't know how much they got better defensively. When you lose Drew Holiday, I know he kind of lost a step towards the end of the season. I remember Drew Holiday getting buckets given to him by Jimmy Butler in the first round of the playoffs last year. He was absolutely getting cooked. But Jimmy Butler was on a different stratosphere when the playoffs started last year. So as far as additions, you got Adrian Griffin, who will be the first-time head coach. It's going to be interesting to see how he performs as a head coach. He was with the Toronto Raptors, but he wasn't even an assistant coach last year. So he was the guy that if anybody remembers, they kind of drug this process out, for a while after they fired Coach Mike Budenholzer after they were bounced in the first round last year. So Adrian Griffin gets the job. Of course, Giannis had a lot to do with that. You bring in Damian Lillard, of course, top 75 player all time, 3-point marksman, somebody that can stretch the floor, somebody that can initiate the offense. But defensively, like I said, he's not a Drew Holiday. Definitely not a Drew Holiday. They also bought in Malik Beasley. Malik Beasley was on my Lakers bench last year, not really getting a lot of burn because we had a lot of guards step up. Malik Beasley is a smaller player. I don't think that Coach Ham thought that he could hold his own on the defensive end. And of course, if your shot's not falling and you're a 3-point shooter, you don't really present a lot of value to the team. So Lakers ended up not bringing back Beasley. Beasley is on Milwaukee. They signed Cam Payne yesterday as well. So Cam Payne, backup point guard. You got Malik Beasley there to stretch the floor. Damian Lillard. Andre Jackson Jr., who played for, I want to say he played for Connecticut last year. Not really a three, more like a defensive guy that'll block a lot of shots, alter a lot of shots, probably be used to guard the other team's best player at times if he can get off the bench. But he's definitely a rim protector. He's definitely somebody that's a slasher to the rim. Robin Lopez, of course, Brooks already there. So Robin Lopez, his brother, will also be there. Ty Washington came over from the Houston Rockets. He'll get probably a few of those backup point guard minutes as well. And then Omari Moore probably won't see a lot of playing time this year. As far as subtractions, we kind of touched on this, but Budenholzer left, of course. Drew Holiday's gone. Grayson Allen is gone as well. Joe Ingles is also gone. Wesley Matthews left. Javon Carter is in Chicago. Dragic left, and Miles Leonard. He didn't get a lot of playing time last year, but Miles Leonard also left. So they don't have a lot of that turnaround that they had last year. They do still have Jay Crowder. He got there, of course, in the middle of last season. So you do have Jay Crowder. You still got Giannis. You still got Brook Lopez. You still got Bobby Portis. So it's a lot of big players that's still there. Morjan Beauchamp is somebody that scored. I want to say he had like an 80-point pro-am game over the course of this summer. So stuff like that lets you know that he's in the lab, kind of working on his game, probably trying to figure out ways to earn minutes and try to crack that rotation. The expectations for this team are going to be extremely high. It's pretty much championship or bust. Giannis has some couple interesting quotes that came out that pretty much, he was putting the pressure on Milwaukee, saying things like, I'm going to be here for as long as I feel like we're being competitive for. And when I feel like we're not competitive, I think, it's probably time for me to leave. So I think, the front office heard that. And that was one of the reasons why they went after a high profile name guy like Damian Lillard. Of course, this team lost last year, first round of the playoffs. What's going to be interesting this year is how healthy they can be. They lost first round in the playoffs to the Miami Heat. That was, one of the first time that a play-in team has actually upset a first round team. Giannis did miss 19 games last season, including 2.5 games in their first round of the playoffs as well. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can stay healthy. Of course, last year Chris Middleton was coming back off the injury. They were resting him for certain situations in different games. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can stay healthy. He should be in a better place this year. So from a health perspective, Damian Lillard is not someone who misses a lot of time. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can, continue to stay healthy. And I'm really excited to see this Bucks team. I kind of feel like the Bucks are going to be a team that runs at an extremely fast pace. I think they're going to get up and down the floor. I think their offense is going to be pretty dynamic. But outside of Brook Lopez, Giannis will play defense at times. Sometimes he doesn't play defense. I think, when you lose some of those key guys on the defensive end, like, a Wesley Matthews who contributed in a pretty big way. Javon Carter can play, a little bit of defense. Of course, Drew Holiday being the kind of elephant in the room. I do think that they take a step back defensively, but offensively, I feel like they got better. Looking at the offensive numbers last year, Milwaukee had an offensive rating of 114.3, which was 15th in the league. So I think that gets better. Defensively, they were really good. They were 110.9, which was the fourth best defensive rating in the league. I think they take a step back there. Assist percentage was 15th. I think they take a step up there. Drew Holiday can facilitate, but, of course, Damian Lillard can as well. Rebounding, they were the third best rebounding team in the league. Rebound percentage was 52.1. Effective field goal percentage, they were right. They were in the top 10, right at 10, 55%. So they weren't a bad offensive team. They kind of hung their hat on the defensive end. I think that kind of shifts a little bit. And then as far as their pace, they were the 10th fastest team in the league with a pace of 101.4. So all things kind of being considered and looking at trying to kind of transition and looking at the betting from a betting perspective. This team did finish 58-24 last year, which was actually first in the East, first in the division, of course. They finished one game above the Boston Celtics, who finished 57-25 last year. From an ATS perspective, they were 43-34-5, 42-39-1 to the over. And they performed really, really well as a road favorite. I'm not 100% sure why. They were 21-3 straight up and 15-6-3 against the spread when they were a road favorite. And they were home favorite. I mean, they still were good, 32-8 straight up, but just 23-15, not bad. That's 60%, ATS wise when they were a home favorite as well. And a lot of those games went to the over. 26-14, they were to the over when they were a home favorite as well. So this will be a team for me that I'm interested to see. Of course, Dame probably feels like he wants to. It looks like from what I'm seeing, they've kind of really embraced him in the city of Milwaukee. For people who don't know, they had like a little mini parade for him before they even did the media day celebration on the media day on Monday. They did this for him on Sunday. He had his family with him, grabbing his jersey, kind of, just looking, checking out the facility, got some shots up. And, that I think based on what I read and what I heard him say yesterday in the media day, it feels like he was warmly embraced, and he says he feels super blessed, to have that opportunity. So, like I said, I think this is going to be a team that we're going to make some money with betting on their offense. Dame Giannis pick and roll is going to be something that's going to be really difficult to stop. And I think teams just going to come at Dame on the offensive end, and they're going to try to make Dame defend them specifically. So it's going to be interesting. I do think they try to get out and run. Of course, that's always been Giannis' MO. Doesn't really like to play half-court basketball, which, for his skill set, it does kind of benefit when you're a freak of nature like Giannis is. Kind of benefits you to get out and push and transition, try to get the easiest shot available without having to set your offense. So from a betting perspective, let's get into some of these numbers. So regular season win total, 54.5. Like I said, last year this team won 58 games. So the number is down a bit, but it's going to be interesting, man. As far as strength of schedule, they do have the fifth easiest schedule. If you go in and check the numbers, most of the time that's computed by, back-to-backs first and foremost, the opponent team's win percentage as well. And then so win total sitting at 54.5. Odds to win the East are plus 180. So they're pretty much the favorite. And I would agree with that, right? Like when you think about the East, you got a really, it's kind of top heavy. It feels to me like a lot of the competition is out west. The Bucks will be good. The Boston Celtics are anticipated to be good again as well. So odds for the Bucks to win the East plus 180 don't really interest me a lot. And those were the best odds too when I was looking at them trying to calculate, make sure we got the best number. Odds to win the title plus 400, which pretty much is puts them as the favorite to win the title. Let me see what I got. Yeah, pretty much puts them at a favorite to win the title at plus 400. I'm not buying any season win total or NBA futures markets right now. Like I haven't placed a bet. When I am going to place one, I'll definitely let you guys know. I think there are some opportunities to make some money. Last year I did a video, and I'll do another one when I get done with all these win totals. But I did a video last year where I gave out 5 NBA season long team totals for people who had the bankroll. A lot of people don't like tying their money up there long, and I get it. But of those 5 totals that I gave out, I went 4-1 on those. So I can't even remember which one I missed, but it was one I think I missed by like a game or two. So it is money to be made if you have the bankroll and you can set, small percentage aside for the season. But as far as to win the title, to me, big things that come to mind is injuries, right? Can Giannis stay healthy? I'm of the mindset that I don't know if Miami wins that series last year if Giannis doesn't miss 2.5 games. So we got to remember he didn't play game 1. And Miami stole game 1. And this is not a shade to Miami, but he also, I forgot what other game he missed. And then he got hurt as well, like right before halftime in a game. And I don't know if they won that game or not, but I know a lot of it was Giannis being out. I do, like I said, I think, it's as square as it is. I do think that they have a good chance to coming out the East. I think they also have a chance to win the title, but it's nothing that I'm betting right now. That was a lot. I said a lot already. I'm going to try to keep these shows pretty short. So I'm just giving you guys the information. If you join late, check me out on YouTube. Just search Crispy Cap and 2 P's, 2 N's. You can join the chat over there if you want. And you can also, if you're watching on Twitter, you can also chime in. Send me a request. If y'all got thoughts on the Milwaukee Bucks, let me know what y'all thinking. What y'all liking? Is it a player that y'all looking to target on his player props? Anything like that, just let me know. I'm going to go through the comment section real quick. And then I'll get on to the Denver Nuggets if I don't got anybody to request up. What's up to my guy Prolific? He says these WNBA girls be having us in church, man. Yeah, WNBA is kind of sick. The finals gonna be crazy, but them scheduling it on NFL Sunday is not ideal for marketing purposes. David says, Chris, what's good, brother? I got some Pacers look this year. Glad to be back. Absolutely. Appreciate you being here as well, David. Sam says, great content and channel, sir. Very insightful information. I love the sports query language segment. Yeah, I'll definitely have some SDQL, for you guys to kind of give you guys spots that I'm back in. And my guy, Akbar. What's up, Akbar? Appreciate you being here, man. Let's see. Don't look like I got nobody that want to request up and talk in the moment. So we just going to keep it moving, man. We're going to keep it moving. We'll transition now into the Denver Nuggets. So the Denver Nuggets are the defending NBA champions, right? This team won the championship last year. High expectations to do the same thing all over again. Hold on real quick. Let's see. Let's see if I really got a request for real. Let me see before we get on to the Nuggets. Finding Dame. Can you hear me? Nah. You might not be connected. Look like you connected on my end. Maybe not. All right, let's keep going. So transitioning, like I said, to the Denver Nuggets. So, and let me get this off the bottom. Let me just like to be organized. Stroll across. Stroll across. All right, cool. All right, we got that situated. So, looking at the Denver Nuggets, like I said, we got no real key additions. This team didn't. I mean, they drafted a couple players. I'm not sure how much Julian Strother III, I think is how you pronounce his name, and Hunter Tyson are going to play. I think there will be opportunities presented, but that's really just because of the subtractions that they had. The only player that they added with experience was Justin Holiday. Justin Holiday's bounced around the league a lot. He will be, a veteran presence on this team, but when you win a championship, you typically, you got your OGs, right? So when you look at who this team lost, they did lose Bruce Brown, of course. Even after Mike Malone, I think he was a little intoxicated when he said that, Bruce not going anywhere. Bruce Brown left the whole coast and joined the Indiana Pacers because they threw the bag at him. So Bruce Brown has departed. Of course, he's in Indiana. Jeff Green is in Houston on the Rockets. Thomas Bryant left. He didn't get a lot of burn last year. And Ish Smith is also gone. So they still have DeAndre Jordan at backup center. Not really 100% sure how much that's going to mean to a team, but he is a somebody that can rebound, somebody that can box out, somebody that can catch lobs. And sometimes it's all you need in your center. And the starting center plays unlimited minutes, and Jokic. Not sure what shape Jokic is in. Looking at him on media day, looked like he hasn't really touched the basketball throughout the entirety of the offseason. Tons of videos of him partying at bar mitzvahs, that just kind of chilling, man. Horse racing, looked like a couple house parties. He was out there living his best life, across the country, man. So lot of key. I'm a tad bit concerned by some of the subtractions, but at the same time, when you got Jokic, when you got Jamal Murray, I still feel like that's the most lethal 1-2 combination right now in the NBA. And I think they earned that title to have that. That was the most difficult play to defend last year. We saw it relentlessly ran over and over again whenever they needed a bucket in the playoffs, in the end of the regular season as well. So I think that they've kind of earned that title right now. So some of the offseason notes. This was their first NBA championship. I talked about Jokic already, living his best life. They actually finished I think the thing for Denver last year that kind of separated them from all the rest of the teams was Denver actually, they set themselves up early in the season when the Western Conference was like just kind of shaky, right? Like we didn't know who was going to be like the third best team or the fourth best team or the fifth best team. And people remember it was kind of hard for you to separate yourself. At that time, the Denver Nuggets and the Sacramento Kings were like, well, we'll just finish 1 and 2. And then the Memphis Grizzlies kind of caught on to that as well. And they were like, well, we'll be up here too. And then you had all these teams kind of jockeying for position when it came to the 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 seeds, which were the Clippers, the Lakers, the Golden State Warriors, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves ended up being the play-in team. So whoever that other team was, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. But Denver, what helped them so much was how fast they kind of started. This team was 20-4 as a home favorite through their first 50 games last year. Like they were putting their foot to the pedal. It was a team that had a better record. I think it might have been Memphis, but this was like one of the best teams that you've ever seen play at home specifically. We know the altitude really influences the road team, specifically in the first quarter. So that was a profitable bet for, a period of time, especially if the other team was coming into Denver on the second leg of a back-to-back. One thing I thought was interesting when I was going through this, though, is that there is money to be made fading home teams. Fading teams that's coming off a championship at the beginning of the following season. That's been pretty profitable. Fading the team that won the championship within the first 20 to 25 games, mainly because there's always going to be a lack of a bit of complacency. You're going to see some complacency. To me, it feels normal to think that the team that won the championship partied a little harder, probably didn't work out as much because you reached the expectation that you wanted. You won a championship, so you're more likely to not saying that this happened to everybody, but we saw it clearly happen for Jokic. When you don't reach your goal, you're easily influenced to get back to the grind, get back to the process. When you reach your goal, you kind of want to live it up. You kind of want to have a little fun. You might not be working out as much. Your off-season routine and regimen might be a little bit different. So one of the things that kind of backs this up, I went in and looked at the numbers, right? So I went and looked at the NBA champs from the past few years through their first 25 games and found that after the Lakers won in the bubble in 2019, they started the next season just 12-14 against the spread. That following season after winning the championship. That year, the Bucks won. So in 20, the Bucks won their championship. And the following year, they started the season 12-13 against the spread in their first 25 games to start the 2021 season. And then last year, when the Warriors had won the year before, last year this team only started 13-12 straight up, 11-14 against the spread in their first 25 games. Of course, we remember Draymond punching Jordan Poole, and some people can say that was the beginning to the end or whatever the case might be. But the Warriors were pretty healthy at the beginning of the season. They just couldn't win a game on the road. I know we all remember their home road splits being some of the craziest we've ever seen. So I think I say all that to say that I think that there is money to be made fading some of these home teams. Not these home teams, some of these the fading the championship team early. Of course, you don't want to do it every game, but that's the fat and happy spot that you kind of want to get away from. So I do think that is a big possibility. Definitely going to be spots where I'm looking to fade Denver, specifically probably on the first night. I don't know if people heard it, but I heard the soundbite from Anthony Davis yesterday during media day, and he, just kind of he was being honest. He was like, it was cool for Denver to win a championship, but it kind of felt like the Lakers, like our names just kept getting brought up over and over again. And me being a Laker fan, I kind of felt like that too. I felt like, like, I guess, you on top. So you're not used to being there. You don't know what that success typically feels like. So you're going to keep, kicking the team that typically always beats you, right? The Lakers beat that same Denver team in the bubble to win the championship back in 2019. So now you're on top and you got bragging rights right now. But it felt like it was repetitive. Mike Malone, I like Mike Malone as a coach, but it felt like he kind of, was just kind of repeating the same thing over and over again, talking about them, yada, yada, yada. The most competitive sweep you ever see because the Lakers did get swept last year, but every one of those games came down to the wire. So I say all that to say that game one, it feels like I heard AD say yesterday, him and Bron had a conversation. They just can't wait for opening night. So it might be in my pocket. It might not be yet. I'll be honest with you guys. It's not in my pocket yet, but I will be backing the Lakers on the first night. I'll probably be on them plus the points. What else did I want to mention real quick? The start. So this is the other thing with Denver. Not that they won't hit their stride. I just don't think that they will be as hungry and as motivated as they were at the beginning of last season. They still do have the Denver Nuggets still do have their same starting five. That's Jamal Murray at the point guard. KCP is still there. Only play on this team I think that have multiple championships now. Let's see. Michael Porter Jr. is still there. Jokic is still there. So you still have, a lot of that recipe. And that's why I don't think you can kind of just write this team off. I mean, you can't write this team off. Their season win total is 54.5, which is the highest in the NBA. Denver in the Milwaukee Bucks, of course. Also, the other really, really interesting thing about the Denver Nuggets is, and this is kind of crazy, but they actually have the easiest strength of schedule if you go look at it. Not 100% sure why, but this team has the strongest, the easiest schedule of all the teams. And just kind of going back, looking at some of the numbers, this team was extremely one of the most extremely offensively efficient teams that we ever seen, specifically in the playoffs last year. But through the regular season numbers, offensive rating, they were 6th at 116. Defensive rating, they were 15th at 113.5. Assist percentage, Jokic, Jamal Murray, of course, they're very unselfish team, 66.3%, which was second in the league in assist percentage. They were also a really good rebounding team, 4th, 51.4%. Of course, we know Jokic was averaging a triple-double, but Aaron Gordon come down there and give rebounds. Bruce Brown, Christian Braun, those guys all getting rebounds as well. This team also was the best team, the highest efficient field goal percentage team as well. 57.3% is what they shot from the field during the regular season last year, and they didn't even play at the fastest pace. Their pace was actually 24th. They played at a pace of just 98.74 last year. So looking at all those numbers, I mean, every number I just gave you guys pretty much is top 5 outside of their defensive rating, which got better in the playoffs, outside of their pace, which, pace isn't really dependent. Like, you can have success being one of the slower paced teams, a la the Cleveland Cavaliers last year, who actually played at the slowest pace. So going through, just kind of thinking about all the numbers that I just kind of gave you guys, looking at the odds. So to win the title, they are plus 550, which I want to say is like, I don't have that number right in front of me right now, but I want to say is like second or third. So their odds to repeat are pretty high. Odds to win the West is plus 275. I wouldn't put stock into that. Really difficult for teams to go back to the finals in back-to-back years. We saw the Boston Celtics fall short of that last year, and I think we all know that Boston was the best team in the Eastern Conference last year up until the playoffs started. And maybe even if Tatum doesn't twist his ankle at the beginning of Game 7, they end up in the finals again. Playing against the Denver Nuggets, how a lot of people had it. So I definitely wouldn't put any stock into them winning the West. Could they? Absolutely, but at plus 275 for you to be holding that ticket for the whole season, to me, that's not enough value. And like I said, regular season win total 53.5 on some books, 54.5 on other books. I think that the number is right on. I think it's probably right on cue. I can see them falling a couple wins short because I think that they could get off to a slower start. I'm not sure how hungry they're going to be to repeat. I also think, like I said, the West is extremely stacked, while the Eastern Conference, in my opinion, is more top heavy. You go through and just kind of look at some of the teams in the Western Conference. A lot of these teams, in my estimation, got a lot better. Last year, Denver finished number 1. They'll still be good this year. Memphis finished number 2 and at 51-31. But this team, had everything going on with Ja, Dylan Brooks stuff going on. I don't know if people remember, but Jared Jackson Jr. actually didn't play like the first month and a half and still won Defensive Player of the Year. And just kind of listening to him, I would listen to the Paul George interview on Podcast P over the summer, and it feels like they're going back to basics, trying to change the identity and the culture. And that team, and we'll talk about them, I'm not going to jump too much into them, but they still finished second last year, in the Western Conference as far as wins with 51 and 33. So I think they're going to get better. You bring in Marcus Smart, you bring in an OG leader like Derrick Rose, just some maturity. They kind of need to be steered in the right direction. And it feels like they brought that leadership piece in. Even without Ja being there for the first 25 games, I think Memphis is going to still be good. Sacramento feels like, they probably, exceeded everybody's expectations. I don't think that's even, can be understated. But I still feel like Sacramento, while last year they would have were doing the hunting, this year they'll be more the hunted, but you're still going to have to keep up with them, right? A lot of their players are bona fide scorers, and they're just going to be in positions to replicate that. And, it's just going to be another year for Mike Brown to. So I say all that to say that I don't think Sacramento is going to take a huge step back. Of course, we know what Phoenix did, bringing in Bradley Beal. They're starting to bulk up their roster and not be so top heavy, relying on Devin Booker and Kevin Durant to kind of carry the offensive load. I like some of the additions that they brought in as well. We'll talk about all those teams. The Clippers couldn't stay healthy last year. They have potential to be a top 3, top 4 team in the Western Conference because they finished 5th last year and they weren't that healthy. Golden State's going to be interesting. I think Golden State's going to be interesting. Of course, Draymond just rolled his ankle. He's going to be out for the first couple weeks of the season, which really just makes it that much harder for a player that's been playing as long as Draymond to kind of get into his flow. It just kind of pushes everything back a little bit more because when you have a lower leg injury, that screws up your conditioning. So you won't be in the best shape, right? And a lot of it is just that, right? I think my Lakers actually took a step forward. We kind of built out our roster a little bit. Minnesota, I don't think is going anywhere. OKC will get Chet back as well. The Pelicans didn't have Zion healthy last year. Kyrie and Luka and Dallas. I think that the West is just extremely, extremely top heavy. So I say all that to say that I wouldn't be betting on Denver, not quite yet to win the title. I think you could get better odds maybe a little bit later, especially if they start out slow out the gate. And I don't really have a bet. Like I said, win total wise, I think that they could get back to this number, but to me, it kind of feels appropriate. So not anything that I'm putting my hard-earned money on right now. And that's what I kind of got for you guys. Let me go through the comment section real quick. Like I said, if anybody got any thoughts on the Denver Nuggets that they want to chime in with, let me know. Shoot me a request over you watching on Twitter. If you're listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, definitely let me know. Appreciate you, Easy Money. Sanaya, haven't heard from Sanaya in a while. Appreciate you as always, Sanaya. Akbar says Denver handled Miami so well that Miami can't even be motivated for revenge. I guess so, man. I kind of, kind of saw that one coming, but I don't think a lot of other people. I think some people did, but Miami had made people so much money they was really ready to ride out with Miami throughout the entirety of the season. So that's how that kind of played out last year. Tomorrow we'll talk about the Boston Celtics. We'll talk about the Memphis Grizzlies. Those are the next two teams on the list. So I'll definitely be breaking those teams down, kind of going through like everything that we did today: additions, subtractions, key offseason notes, last season recap, what we can expect from these teams this year. I'm sorry, and then projected win total, strength of schedules, all that different stuff, just to kind of get you guys in that mindset, man. Like I said, if y'all got player props that y'all, certain players that you're looking for. I'm also going to be creating a calendar. Last year was the first year, but I created a calendar with key events, key games, just kind of look ahead spots, just things that I'm writing down. Yesterday, I tweeted out Dylan Brooks, has said that he kind of circled the games against Memphis, probably specifically the ones where he's at, probably both real. When Memphis goes to Houston, when Houston goes to Memphis, those are the things that I'm writing down in my calendar so I can look ahead. Maybe I fade Dylan Brooks the game before because I know he's looking forward to that game. It's just different nuggets like that you want to, can be helpful. Also for the new people, if you're listening in on Twitter, I do have a big resource that I use is the NBA beat writers list that I create. So definitely familiarize yourself with that. If you go onto my page and click the three bars in the three little bars on the right hand side and go to my list, you guys will see a beat reporter list for every single team. Those will be key media members that covers these teams, where you're gonna be able to find all of the information that you're needing, from media day stuff to who practice, who the team's looking at trading. All the insight will be there for you guys. So definitely check those out. My guy DJ said we back. We here back and locked in for the season. Absolutely. DSF LFG says, appreciate you, Chris. Best time of the year. Let's get to these NBA dollars. And my guy Malik, what up, Malik? He said, let's have a season. Y'all Bulls in 4. We'll see how that goes, man. We'll see how that goes. Before I get out of here, because I don't see anybody requesting, I do got one request from my guy Vaughn, so I'm gonna bring Vaughn up real quick, and then we'll keep it moving, man, and just kind of redo this thing all over tomorrow. We don't have any more requests. Vaughn, what's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yo, what's good, bro? You hear me good?
Yeah, you good. What's going on, man? How you doing?
What's going on, bro? Going into what, year 3, year 4?
Yes, sir. It's time to make a little bit more money, Vaughn. Time to step it up just a tad bit more, man.
Hey, man. So, just a few quick things, man. I said it before, but I'm gonna always say it, man. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. I remember we was doing these shits. It sounded like 20 years ago when we was just getting on spaces at 2 a.m. with Cap and the gang. So it feels crazy that we going into year 3, year 4,
That's
man.
a fact.
So, my only thing, man, is and it's not so much about these teams, but mine is a note to myself, man. And you talked about it earlier with Denver, man. Fading that defending champ against the spread, first 20 to 25 games. And then also, I learned it last year. It bit me in the ass last year. Because I've had a lot of time to just go back and look at kind of where my money went, where I was unsuccessful at. And a lot of that was first quarters, first half, and I'll say like that first 20 to 30 games as well. When you kind of don't know who the team is, they're still kind of finding themselves. So I know that first 20 to 30 games of the year, I'm staying away from first quarter, first half, pretty much for all teams. And I probably decreased my unit size first month and a half, just so I can get a better feel for it. That way, if we do struggle out of the gate, it's not as much of a hurt into the pocket. I know last year, I think everybody that was on Twitter, a lot of NBA cappers were getting crushed just because we didn't know which teams would show up that night. I know Jay was down early. Ronald was down early. You was down early. I was down early. I don't want to put myself in the category with those guys, but that first month of the season, man, you say it all the time, but it's something of note, man. Just bet responsibly And that first month of the season, you just got to remember, these are not the same teams from last year. Different coaches, different schemes, different things that they're trying to do and develop. So just be on the lookout and be careful that first month and a half, because it can be tricky.
Absolutely, Vaughn. That's a fact, bro. I'm glad you chimed in to say that, man, because we so excited, right? We just can't wait to get back into it. And a lot of these teams, like you said, Vaughn, they still trying to figure out the pieces as well. So they might not play up to the expectation that we think they're gonna play up to. As far as first quarter, first half, something I'm probably gonna stay away from a little bit more this year as well, unless I absolutely love the spot. I looked at the first quarter trends last year. Just share a little bit more insight before I get off of here. The Grizzlies were actually the best ATS team in the first quarter, and that was something that Grizzlies kind of come out and start fast. We've been cashing on Grizzlies first quarter team total overs and first quarter spreads for probably 2 years now, but they were 50-30 and 2 ATS last year in the first quarter, followed by the Minnesota Timberwolves 48-33-1. And the Wizards, not 100% sure how they're going to look this year, but the Wizards were actually one of the better teams. They actually started the season off really, really well last year, and they would start the game off well and fade. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to breaking down the Wizards, but the Wizards were a team that you could actually buy on at the beginning of the first quarter, at the beginning of the game, sometimes even the first half, and make some money with the Wizards. They, like I said, 47-33-2 was their ATS first quarter record. And I also looked at their first quarter. They were actually the best first quarter over under team as well. They actually went 53-28-1 to the over in the first quarter, which is a really good return. 53-28-1. A lot of the time, the books wouldn't expect them to score a lot of points. So Wizards team total overs in the first quarter was a thing. Of course, it's a different team this year. They don't have Bradley Beal, but they got Jordan Poole, somebody that's going to play a bunch of offense and not a lot of defense. So I do expect them. And they also have I think the lowest win total on the board as well. I think it's 24.5 is what their projected win total is. So we'll talk more about the Wizards when we get there, but a lot of money to be made, I think, with the Wizards, specifically early in the season. You want to bet on the dogs early because the team, you're going to be able to catch value fading the good teams that aren't necessarily looking to rev up at the beginning of the season, right? You don't want to, come out and play your best brand of basketball too early in the season. A lot of people think San Francisco right now, 49ers are doing that. I don't think that they are. I think they're just catching teams in really good spots and, just playing really good football. But you don't want to peak too early if you're in the NBA, of course. You kind of want to peak at the right time. And it felt like the Lakers did that after the trade deadline last year. So you definitely want to buy on some of these cheaper teams. And we'll talk more about that. Appreciate you chiming in, though, Vaughn. Let me get to Black Thor real quick, and then we'll get off here because I think that's the last request I got. Black Thor, what's going on, man? Can you hear me?
Yo, Chris, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, bro. How you doing, man? What's going on?
I'm good. Real quick, I know you had talked about the Denver, and I agree with you kind of fading a championship team, at least the first 2 months. But real quick on Milwaukee, not really an official thing, but Alina, I really like his Damian Lillard assist. I know people all the time talk about, he's a great shooter and a great player, but low-key, he's a really good passer, and as a great player, you're responsible to do what your team needs. Portland, a lot of times, didn't have a lot of talent around him, so he had to score. But you think about the soon-developing pick and rolls with Giannis and just how much of a better team and better players he's passing to. Sometimes last year was at 5.5, 6.5. I would look early, at least, whenever they do put up lines, maybe playing at 7 or 10, because I think he's really going to, try to fit in early. Also, from a non-betting perspective, Giannis, small improvements are big improvements. Dame, to me, comes to help the Bucks because a lot of times you talked about the offense in 15th place, but with Giannis, it's two small things he got to fix, right? This is footwork because a lot of times he travels in the post and inconsistent free throw shooting with his mechanics. Those small things can make this game so much easier. Because a lot of times in the fourth quarter, they bog down because they give him the offense. His footwork can get kind of bad. He's moving too fast. So those are just two things I look forward to seeing. Again, appreciate you and all your success and looking forward to the season.
Absolutely, Black Thor. I think you mentioned two really, really good things. I think so let me address both of them real quick. The Damian Lillard assist, I think that's gold, Black. Like I think that's a really good one. I'm looking at his numbers. He averaged 7.3 last year. He's probably going to have the ball in his hands, probably a little bit less, but I'm pretty sure, Coach Griffin is going to want him to initiate the offense more so than Giannis initiating the offense. So it might not be as much when you think about the second, like a secondary ball handler on this team. Really to me just kind of sticks out to be him. More you're on board, champ, maybe. But I do think that like you said, the talent around him has kind of elevated, right? Like he'll have better shooters around him. He'll have Giannis around him. That's probably going to contribute to Robert Lopez, like a lot of the runs to the rim. So yeah, I absolutely enjoy that sentiment as well. And then the last thing you mentioned, I totally forgot about this, but Mr. Hakeem Olajuwon did have Giannis in class. I think it's 50,000 for a workout, and Giannis said, "All right, cool." So I do expect him to implement those things. I mean, I know 50,000 for Giannis is not a lot of money, but I don't think he did it, for publicity. I think if he could have did it without anybody finding out because he wanted to get better and take his game to another level, I think he absolutely would have. So I would agree with that as well. I do think that we see, different parts of Giannis' game kind of take that next step because free throw shooting and footwork are big things like you talked about, Black Thor. So I do think that we see that as well. It's going to be, like I said, offensively, I think they're going to be a really, really good team. I'm going to be interested to see when they start playing defense and taking this, kind of taking the season seriously because I don't think a lot of teams are going to be able to outscore.
Right. Kind of interesting with Dame. He's a big closer. He's a big finisher. And Middleton before was the big finisher. So it'd be really interesting to see, the ball responsibility towards towards the end of the games. What I think Middleton is going to excel at is second units, and when Lillard is on the bench, I think they're going to split up their minutes because you always want to have Giannis, Middleton, and Dame on the floor at the same time. So honestly, I know you said think the win total was 54. I know it's a new team and its chemistry is a big thing, but talent alone, they should clear a lot of teams. I know you said earlier about the Damian Lillard defense. There's about 3 or 4 teams that can really exploit them. Pick a guy out, one-on-ones or post-ups. But other than that, most of these teams, they're getting dusted, man. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, I agree. So my thing with that, Black Thor, not necessarily that I don't think a lot of teams going to be able to outscore this team. I think from a motivation, and this is where a lot of people don't think about it when they're thinking about it from a betting perspective. They say, all right, you got Dame, you got Middleton, you got Giannis. All right, cool. Who's going to beat this team? I think about it more so from the perspective of, are we going to get Giannis every single night, right? Or is Dame going to be rested on some nights? These are the things that we don't necessarily handicap, before the season start. When you're thinking about betting one of these overs, in your mind, you think that, I'm betting on Giannis playing every night. I'm betting on Dame playing every night. I'm betting on Chris Middleton not getting hurt. Giannis not missing 19 games. You know what I mean? So those are the unforecasted things where, why the line is, I think somewhat appropriate based on what we know right now. So it wasn't their talent level. It's like, are they going to bring it every single night, right? Like, are they going to play every single night? Because Giannis missed some of those games last year. It wasn't even due to injury. They just set him out sometimes.
Right.
So,
Lillard too with that quote unquote calf injury.
Right. Just kind of shutting them down, right? So, like, these aren't spring chickens, right? Like, I think Giannis is going into his 9th or 10th year. Dame is going into his 10th or 11th year, something like that. I know both of them are going in between their 9th and 11th year. So, not to say that they're going to be resting all the time, but with one of them out, like how detrimental is that to the team success on that specific night, which is why I'm kind of staying off the win total. Can they get there? I think so, Black Thor. Like if they had the mindset that they wanted to win 60 games in the regular season, I think that they probably could,
Yep. I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely, Black Thor. Appreciate you, bro. We're gonna tap back in. I like the questions that you asked and the insight that you shared. My guy, the one and only Finesse the Books is in the building. What up, Finesse?
Yo, Chris, what's good, bro?
What up, man? How you, bro?
Chilling. It's been too long, son. It's been too long.
Way too long, man.
But yeah, we back at it again, bro. Back at it again. When I saw the NBA space pop up, I got a little flutters in my heart. You know what I'm saying? It's that time again. So
Absolutely, bro.
What a time to be alive. Baseball, football, basketball. I love it, bro. But yeah, I just wanted to tap in, show some love. I obviously have a lot more to say tomorrow for the Celtics breakdown, but that should be an interesting one.
Yeah, your boy's looking good, man. I like him. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I got some concerns, but I wasn't thrilled with the trades that went down, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Black Door brings up some great points. I think the Bucks are really, really fascinating. Obviously, I just think Lillard opens up the offense so much, right? Like Black Door talked about, Middleton closing games, and obviously Giannis going to be closing games. I don't really think you want Middleton closing games. You know what I'm saying? So I think, I think Lillard having the ability to be that closer, like Black Door said, and just opening up the floor way more, right? If you want Giannis to close, it was a little bit easier defending, kind of knowing what Giannis wants to do. But, Lillard being on the floor, changes the whole dynamic. I feel like, I think, they already shot a lot of threes last year. I think they shoot even more threes. I think there's just going to be so much more space for Giannis to work with and maybe play even better than he has, right? He's won MVP, shit like that. Won titles, and, this team could be scary. How do you defend this team? You know what I'm saying? The pick and roll, between the pick and roll, they still got shooters on the team. It's going to be crazy to defend. Obviously, you would think on paper the defense drops off a little bit with the moves that they've made, but yeah, it's going to be super interesting. So, Black Door mentioned Lillard's threes. I think that's key. Lillard's assists, I think that's key. And just the three-point shots. I think they're going to take a lot of threes. I think they're going to make a lot of threes. Chris, like you said, they're going to score a shit ton of points. So, things will be very, very interesting. 54.5, I think you said, was the win total. That's a very interesting number. It seems about right, but I would not be shocked if they, are putting up 125, 130 points a game for a lot of the season and just cruising past teams, even maybe with a lack of a defense that they had last year. So it's going to be really interesting, bro. But that team is fucking scary.
Yeah, those are my same thoughts. Those are definitely my same thoughts from this. I just feel like, last year, like it felt like they kind of hung their heads on the defensive end. I gave out the numbers. They were a much better defensive team than they were offensive team, except when the playoffs started. Of course, they couldn't stop Miami. Miami was getting buckets whenever they wanted to. And Giannis missed 2.5 games in that series, of course. But 47-39-1 to the over last year, 55, pretty much 55%, 54.7. And they won 59 games last year. So I don't see a lot of the, drop off, like you said, Finesse. When you think about that, probably like that def lineup, it'll probably be what? Dame at the 1. You might even have Chris Middleton at the 2. And then you bring maybe Bobby Portis in because he can stretch the floor. Brook Lopez, and you got Giannis in. And we know Brook Lopez can stretch the floor as well. So, yeah, that's extremely hard. I think a lot of, like I said, a lot of overs. Yeah, they rebound the ball. They can shoot the ball. They got 2 ball handlers. They can get out and run in transition. And it's a super big team. You still got 3 players that's above, 6'10". So, yeah, that's going to be – I just think they score a lot of points because of that, Finesse. I think they score a lot of points, and I think I'm going to be looking for some overs specifically, looking at this Bucks team. Yep. Okay. My guy Barksdale in the chat said, looking forward to a great and profitable year with the gang. Appreciate you, Barksdale. He's one of my members, one of the first members. Appreciate you, Barksdale, for rocking with your boy, man. But yeah, great contributions from Vaughn. Gave out some betting advice. Blackdoor has some really great insight. Finesse added to what Blackdoor said as well. If you join late, like I said, all these are recorded over on YouTube every single day, Monday through Friday, maybe with the exception of this Friday, but every single day, Monday through Friday, 5:15, I'll be doing 2 teams. Check out the post on my Twitter page. It'll break down which day I'm doing. I'm breaking down each team specifically. Like I said, if you join late, go back and check the content out over on YouTube as well at Crispy Cap and 2 P's, 2 N's. Tomorrow, we have what did I tell you guys? We have the Boston Celtics, and we have who's the other team? Boston Celtics and the Memphis Grizzlies. So definitely 2 teams we want to, a lot of big aspirations and hopes for these 2 teams as well. So we'll talk about them tomorrow. Best of luck if you guys got any playoff baseball going on. And, we got a Thursday night football game versus the Commanders and the Chicago Bears coming up too. So we'll do that breakdown and get out of here before that game starts. But appreciate everybody for tapping in. Hit the like button for me if you guys are watching on Twitter. Definitely subscribe over on YouTube as well. Best of luck on all your action that you got until I catch you guys tomorrow, man. I'm out.
We love you, Chris.
This guy.